right, now we move on to Ode to Joy. This is a very famous melody by Ludwig van Beethoven, who was a German classical composer and wrote a lot of symphonies for orchestras, and he also wrote some wonderful piano music. Maybe some of you have learned to play a very famous piece of his for release. This comes from his Ninth Symphony, which has a huge orchestra and a choir in it. Read the notes about it on page 20, there's a bit of information about it, and it's also been used a lot in popular music. It's such a simple but effective tune. Now, on the theory sheets that your teacher may well give to you, you will see there that there are some quavers joined together. So they're only worth half a beat each, so they're quick notes. And you'll see those down on the third line, and you'll notice too a crotchet or quarter note, but coloured in with a stick with a dot after it. Try and think back to what I said in an earlier video lesson about a dot after a note makes it half as long again. So what's half of 1? That's right, it's a half. So 1 plus a half is 1 1/2. So when you see a note coloured in with a stick on it, and then a dot after it, it's only worth 1 1/2. But that wouldn't work very well in a bar, because you can't have 3 1/2 or 4 1/2 beats in a bar. So you'll notice whenever you have the dotted crotchet, which happens twice in Ode to Joy, it's followed straight away by one of those quavers by itself with a little hook on it. So 1 1/2 plus a half equals 2. So if you look at the last line, the last bar of the first line, it does this. Alright, so dotted crotchet, quaver, minim, and it sounds like that. Long, short, long. So let's see how that goes. Now, if you practice the C major scale, which is one of the very first things we did, and if you've looked at the tablature to see where the notes are, but then you've looked at the music and you've learned those notes and how to read them, you'll find this very easy to play. Alright, so let's have a close look at it. We'll assume you've learned the notes of the scale. If you haven't, go back and practice it right now so that you can read the music and play the scale. Alright, a little bit of a closer look at the fingerboard for Ode to Joy. We start with the 2nd fret on the 4th string. That's our starting note. Okay? And I suggest again using what I call the 1st fret position. So, numbering the fingers in the left hand, 1, 2, 3, 4. Don't count your thumb. If you have piano lessons, your teacher says 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Next time you go to piano lessons, say, I'm sorry, but that's my thumb. In my guitar lessons, it goes 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? So, put your 2nd finger on the 2nd fret. And then when we play the scale, put your 3rd finger when it's 3rd fret, and 3rd finger when it's 3rd fret. And that makes it much easier to move your fingers quickly. So, playing this with me will teach you the rhythm as well as finding the notes in the guitar. We'll count 4 pulses in because it's in 4/4 time, and you'll learn the rhythm as you play it along with me. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now we start another lesson, which we're going to start with the Spanish study number 1 on page 21. And I'm using my nylon string classical guitar because this is the best kind of guitar to use for flamenco or Spanish style music. So, first of all, we're going to learn a simple little scale, and it doesn't even have the tablature there because you don't need it. The bracket there says, okay, these notes are on the 2nd string. play the no fingers on second string, the first fret and the third fret, and then the next bracket says on the first string play no fingers, then first fret, then third fret. So let's look at that again. And you'll hear it's got a bit of a Spanish flavour. What I was doing then was I was just sort of improvising with the notes of the scale, and it sounded a bit Spanish. Here's another little trick. You'll notice down the bottom of the page, there are the chords for the Spanish study number 1. An E chord, an F chord, a G chord, an A minor chord. Just with those first 3 chords, look what happens if we do this. If you practice changing those chords quite quickly, then you get that Spanish sort of sound. But here's an even easier thing. Learn how to play the E chord. I won't do that now, but there's a picture of it in the book on the chords page, and then there's a diagram of it there at the bottom of page 21. Then move all of those fingers up 1 fret. So take the whole E chord, move them up 1 fret. And that sounds even more Spanish. Here's a little trick. Go down to the music store, ask them if you can try one of their nylon string guitars, and try to look very sort of Spanish. Strum the E chord, move it up a fret, and just do that with a very thoughtful look on your face, and they'll think you're quite good. So there's a little trick. That's how when I first started learning the guitar, I used to like going into a music store and having a go on the guitars and just playing an E chord like that. And here's one more little trick to extend it a bit further. You'll notice that with the classical nylon string guitar, I'll often use this kind of a picking method, but in flamenco guitar, if you flick the fingers in the right hand with the thumb, is called, the Spanish name for that is called a rasguado. Okay, let's just revise the scale again. No fingers on second string, first fret on second string, third fret on second string, no fingers on first string, first fret on first string, third fret on first string. Practice that scale over and over, look at each note as you play it, and now you can play Spanish study number 1. First of all, with track 14 on the CD, which has me playing the melody line on the nylon string or classical guitar, and then 15 is the backing track only. But when your friends know how to play the chords and A minor, then you don't need the backing track anymore, and you are starting to read music, playing music even of other cultures, which this is from Spain, and playing the chord pattern with it as well. And you start to not even need the backing tracks anymore, start to play your own music. So here we go, I'm just going to count it in. Just minims, dotted minims and crotchets. So, and there's one crotchet rest right at the end, so we know how to read the duration or the rhythm of the notes, and we know where the notes are on the guitar from learning the scale. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3.